Thank you. Thank you so much. That is, Edward, those were remarkably generous words, and really, I wish my kids could hear them. But I have some bad news for you. I would trade them all in to be able to sing like Frenchie. That was quite a tour de force, I gotta say. For a voice like that, I would give an awful lot. And boy, what a performance tonight. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here and listening to it. It was great. That was great. Let me begin with just a few thank yous to some folks whom you know and yet deserve our continued expressions of appreciation. Alan, what you have done with this organization is remarkable. You are, hands down, one of the most powerful voices for justice in the state of New York, and we thank you for it. Really, it is an honor to work with you. Parenthetically, Alan, I do want to thank you for your endorsement in this campaign. That does not in any way limit the value of my commentary on you. It would have been there anyway. It would have been there anyway. Chris Quinn, you are spectacular, and your sense of humor is just on top of your remarkable wisdom, and we are thrilled and proud of what you have done, and really, thank you. You have so much to do and so much you have already done by merely being there and being a voice for justice. Sean Maloney, you are here tonight somewhere. Thank you for running a great race in the Attorney General's race. It was an honor to watch you. I have absolutely no doubt that Sean will have a wonderful and important role in government. Elected or not, Sean, thank you for your wisdom and the way you ran your race. It was really a joy. Senator Feingold, I want to thank you as well for coming to New York. You have been one of those rare leaders in Washington who has stood up consistently on matters of conscience. Your eloquent opposition to the federal marriage amendment was important, and it was noticed, and we thank you for it. Russ, thank you. You are a friend of all of those who look for friends who are willing to say that which is sometimes difficult to say. Finally, Dick Godfrey, Tom Duane, other electeds, I may have missed a few, you have been notable in your strength of voice in Albany in what is often a barren landscape, and I thank you for everything you have done. Now, I want to start tonight with a proposition that I have always believed, and that is that you can't achieve reform, and I mean meaningful, far-reaching reform, unless it is based on core values. Over the last 8 years, we've accomplished a fair bit in the Attorney General's office. We made sure that Wall Street couldn't get away with lying to investors who wanted nothing more than to save for retirement and put their kids through college. That prescription drug companies couldn't get away with failing to disclose known risks about drugs that could harm our families. That restaurant employers couldn't get away with paying their bathroom attendants less than $2 an hour. That Midwest power companies couldn't get away with polluting our air and giving our kids asthma. But the battles we waged and the victories we won weren't just about enforcing the law. These cases were based upon a vision of society that you and I share, a vision of society that is more just and fair and decent than the one we've been told to settle for by far too many people for far too long. These cases were about a simple core value, that no one is so powerful that he or she is above the reach of the law, or so powerless that he or she is beneath its protection. Tonight, I want to talk briefly about how David Patterson and I would apply this philosophy to a broader vision for civil rights in New York State. Our state historically has led the nation as the birthplace of movements that expanded fundamental rights to those who have historically been denied those rights. In the 19th century, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony began the modern women's movement at Seneca Falls. That's right, we can applaud for that. In the following years, New York proved to be fertile ground for movements for workers' rights and the rights of people of color. In our own lifetime, the Stonewall Rebellion marked a turning point in the struggle for gay rights. All of these movements came from the grassroots up, and many of them have seen success in realizing their vision of a more just society because during those times, there were leaders in City Hall, in Albany, and in Washington who shared the core values of equality and opportunity for all, and who were willing to make the hard choices necessary to transform such ideals into legal rights. But it has been too long since this was the case, at least in Albany. Too often today, and Alan was so right, politicians choose one group or another for special privileges based on expediency or political power. Too much of the limited progress we have made has been the result of tactical decisions by elected officials, rather than the result of true dedication to the ideas and values at stake. And too many groups fight only for their own interests without endeavoring to build coalitions with others who also deserve the government's attention. I believe that New York State needs to pursue a vision of civil rights that accounts for every person's desire to make the most of his or her potential, that accounts for the need to remove barriers people face because of their race, gender, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, disability, or age. During this campaign, I've talked about many steps we must take to make this vision a reality. We must protect a woman's fundamental right to control her reproductive health. The move to the right on the U.S. Supreme Court is, unfortunately, beyond our control. Although 2008 does beckon, and regaining control of the Senate is potentially only 4.5 weeks away. We can and must stand up for the women and families of New York. If the Supreme Court turns its back on women's privacy and limits or overturns Roe v. Wade, as governor, I will do everything in my power to preserve women's access to sound medical information and comprehensive health care services.